So, how is everyone? I hope you are all well, you beautiful, beautiful people. And look, this video is going to be, yet again, a bit of a room splitter because it's going to ask you a question. And a question that I feel that you need to truly consider and make a decision. And this is surrounding the Idaho 4 case. And it's about you as an individual, you as a person, and what you are willing to ignore. Now, with respect of the Bryan Kohberger situation and the grand jury, I did a video earlier today. So if you haven't seen that video, go and check that out. Not now, after this one. But look, this video is going to ask you to consider whether you want to know the whole truth, or whether you're just one of these people who are willing just to say, look, he did it. I don't care about the whys. I don't care about the hows. I don't care about the details of it. He did it. That's it. Or are you a person who thinks to yourself, look, even if Bryan, look, this is based on a principle that Bryan Kohberger's involved, Bryan Kohberger did it, whatever. As a side note, I will just point this out because I'm kind of tired of hearing it. And it's when people are referring to the evidence and they refer to the 10,000 odd photographs. They look at the 51 terabytes of evidence. And look, there is not, I will repeat, there is not 51 terabytes of data that is proving that he is guilty or is evidentiary to his guilt. The 51 terabytes of data is every single thing that they collected in the investigation. So that is all the audio recordings from all of the cameras in all of the areas. It is all of the pictures that were taken of the crime scene, all around the crime scene, behind it, up it, above it, below it, round it, everything. Every single photograph, and if there was any copies, duplicates thereof. 51 terabytes of data does not mean that they have 51 terabytes of data that is all about him being guilty, okay? So when people are saying, whoa, he's fucked, they've got 51 terabytes of stuff, imagine that, it doesn't work that way. The whole data drop was 51 terabytes of everything that was, every single thing that was collected. Could be a picture of a cup that was on the side. Could be a picture of a glove that was outside. Could be a picture of the door frame, the window, a view from the road. You know, it could be hours upon hours of video footage that shows nothing, and then a 20-second clip of a white Hyundai Elantra on this 320p imagery. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so it's about what you want to know in the Idaho 4 case as to what you consider right. What do you consider right? Do you consider when someone is being put to death, when they're going to trial and they could likely face the firing squad or whatever it is, lethal injection, whether you are willing to accept that you are being told that something happened behind closed doors and during this process they found out that this person was guilty. These 12 people, these 12 jurors, 16 jurors, 22, whatever. I know it can go up on a grand jury to 22. But ultimately, these jurors that were selected for the trial, they looked at the evidence behind closed doors and decided, yes, this is the person that did the crime. But you will never know why, you will never know how, you will never know any of the intricacies of it, the nuances in it. Are you happy with that? Are you happy to just then allow things just to move on, and you think that trials should be that way? I think me personally, I think there should be a one shoe fits all, and that is that when someone does a crime, that crime is tried publicly. So every single person sees what is going on. Case in point, Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony, I believe that every single person who's probably watching this video believed that she was guilty. Everyone had looked at all the information and in their droves was shocked at the final outcome of that trial. How many of you feel that that case was an injustice? That was the wrong outcome? Now, if I haven't convinced you in just asking that question, let's look at the Alex Murdoch case. Now, Alex Murdoch, he got found guilty, but I bet my bollocks to a barn dance there's people out there who says, okay, he may have been involved in it, and I can see that he was a bad dude. But did he do the crime itself? Was he the person who pulled the trigger? And I think that's very, very similar to the Bryan Kohberger situation. Now, let's not forget what we know. We know that there was an ex-military guy in the background who had issues. He was in Washington, where Bryan was, so we can't say why would he travel from Washington to Moscow, Idaho, and do this. Bryan would have had to have done the same if you believe Bryan did it. You also know that he held his roommates hostage. He had a gun, military background, so the chances are he had access to military weaponry, and he was very, very quickly taken out by SWAT. The narrative around his death was hidden online, and it was pushed as if, look, this war hero lost his battle against complex PTSD and lost his life. That's the narrative that was pushed, and there's nothing really else that you can find. Nothing at all. But we know that's in the background. We also have heard rumours about, and what I will say before I continue in this direction, whatever has happened, I'm not trying to say that it makes it right what happened to the victims, because it doesn't. That doesn't make what happened to them right. Whatever. And with that, I'm going to say, look, the situation that we heard spoken about, the Hannah Clary situation, and the fact that there was a potential that she had taken her own life through bullying, and that bullying could have happened at the hands of some of the victims in the Idaho 4 case. And again, I'm not saying that then balances the scale. You know, an eye for an eye does nothing but make the whole world blind, as they say. But what it does is it leaves a gap. It leaves questions as to whether there were things that happened or situations that could explain and put things in a different perspective. And do you feel that we as the public should have access to that information? Do you feel that it's relevant? Do you feel that, no, because all you're going to do then is if you turn around and say that Bryan Kohberger did this because he was paid. He was paid by someone's relative who had bullied and lost their life, and so on. So you'd feel that has no relevance, because all that then does is looks at the reputation of the victims, and you're pulling them through the mud, and they don't deserve it because they lost their lives. And look, I know some of this might be reaching, but what I'm trying to, the overarching question is whether you feel that the details surrounding the why and the how are important. There are so many people who still question how this was done by this one person in the manner with which it does, the speed with which it was. If he didn't do it before, this was the first time he'd ever done it, but he just managed to do it with such speed, such accuracy. Yes, he left a knife sheath, but even the knife sheath, we don't know whether he left that knife sheath. We don't know whether that knife sheath was planted, whether it even belonged to the murder weapon. We know that there's questions surrounding exculpatory evidence that potentially was held by Bethany Funk. Now, was that exculpatory evidence the fact that Brian Koberger, all of these times that he was visiting this place, was because he was buying narcotics? Was that night that he turned up at that house another time that had been arranged for him to go and buy narcotics? Are you happy to take the gamble that that's not the case? That he simply was stalking this property, stalking these people, and on this particular night was the night that he finally enacted his plan? Are you happy to consider that's just how it panned out, and to disregard and just to say, no, he was going on a fishing expedition, defence were just pushing their luck with this exculpatory evidence claim? Are you willing to accept that? Let me know down below. What camp do you lie in? That you just want the outcome, and as long as it satisfies your need for an outcome in the way that fits in with your narrative, you're happy? Or do you feel that the public and everyone has the right to know everything? Every stone unturned. I'll catch you all in the next one.